1937 pattern webbing is a very good one to talk about. This is certainly something that I know a lot about. So here we are, I have two different types of belts. We have up here, this would be typically the early war, or the one that would be most frequently used. And here we have a economy version. If you want to know more about these pieces, I recommend you refer to a website called kharkeeweb.com, which basically they have every single web equipment that the British Army has used from, hell, even I think the Slade Wallace or the 1908 set, all the way up to I think PLCE. If not, I'll make the corrections. But here we have two different types of belts, like mentioned. Talk about this one up here. So as you can see, this one has all brass fittings. And then your standard Mills hook and loop, and your two 1-inch buckles at the back to attach the cross straps or the braces in. This is a very good belt. This is a reproduction, a Epic Militaria reproduction. I do have some faults with it, but I'll make those faults there. I'll do a separate video on the faults and also comparing it to probably an original. So there's that. This is going to be for my parade, so parade use. So KG3 Blanco and brassoed brass. So if you do not know what brasso is, it's basically to make stuff shine. And then down here we have the economy version. How can we tell that this is economy? Well, it has webbing loops. It still has the Mills hook and loop. It has the 1-inch buckles on the back for the braces. But however, on the inside, unlike the other one, the one with brass, and I'm just going to quickly turn these inside out. We can tell there is one clear difference. Is that I'll put up a pic, but we can see that this one's got the brass inside with the brass C-hook. This one has like a webbing thing with a sheriff's steel C-hook instead of it being brass. But that's basically how everything went. In 1944-45, our equipment became economized and so on and so forth. I think, if I'm trying to think now, Rifleman Moore has done a video about 1937 pattern economization slash ersatz stuff. So I think he's done everything from the pack braces, which I do not actually have a large pack here, so I have to probably grab one of those. Packs, L-straps, I believe he's done braces as well. But one of the things was these belts. And mine is, so brass 1-inch buckle, brass Mills hook and loop, or hook, but sheriff's steel C-hook on the inside, and webbing loops. Some of them were, you can have brass or sheriff's steel hook and loop, or you could have brass or sheriff's steel 1-inch buckle. So that is the 1937 pattern belts. Let's move on to the next piece of equipment. Okay, so now let's I'm going to talk about what I should be carrying in my basic pouches. So these are called basic pouches. You do have the much more universal ones as well, where of course they remove the C hooks and they make this bit a little bit more wider, so a bit like the 1908 cross straps. Now you might notice later in the video that all of this will be Blancoed in a KG3. That's because I filmed this earlier, before everything got Blancoed. But anyways, so this is just bog standard 37 pattern basic pouches. My group, doesn't really matter what you use. You can use the Mark 1s, not the Mark 1s, sorry, the Mark 2s and the Mark 3s. The Mark 3s would hold a Sten gun magazine. So this is an original 1945 Sten gun magazine with a inert 9mm 1943 dated one, and that's what the Mark 3s would hold. These are the Mark 2s because Mark 2s are much more abundant. You can't get the post-war Mark 3s where they don't have these nice button tabs and it's just fabric stuff. So yeah, so of course you would have, each soldier would have 2 of these, while an infantryman. So on either one of these pouches you would carry the following. So we're going to move this pouch out of the way for now. So this is the first one right here. As you can see, nothing special, Blancoed, C hooks, just basic equipment. That one moves a lot more than this one. For some reason, this is original 37 pattern webbing. Your brass hook for the cross straps and the L straps hook on there. In this one, for me, it's going to be Bren gun magazines. And just note, this is a drill round, a drill 303 round, and I might keep in there. So, in one of these magazines, you would carry 2 Bren gun magazines, simply because the way the section works at the time, the group was 12 at the time. So, and of course, 2 of you would have the Bren gun, one who would carry it, and you would have the loader as your secondary. And the loader would actually have 2 of these around his neck, with a one of them having a strap coming off. But basically you would carry 2 Bren gun magazines in this one, just like so. Of course they fit in there nice and snug, just like so. And of course, just note, whenever you have Bren gun magazines, for example, you would have to have, of course these would hold 30 rounds, but of course I don't have 30 rounds on hand, so I would not load these up. And also I do not have the gun to go for these, so don't worry YouTube. But basically, you would only fill these up with 28 rounds because of the spring. So that's in pouch number 1. Let's move to pouch number 2. This one's in a much more darker shade of Blanco. As you can see, same old pouch, C hooks. This one's a lot more bent out than the other pair. I only just realised. Yeah, they're much more bent out. There's a number back there. These are the Mark 2s. There is a good date on the inside. Let's go and check it out. Okay, so first of all, you've got your marking in there. 1943. And these are the Mark IIs, because I've tested, see whether a Sten gun magazine can go in here, and it will not fit. So, first thing, we have a 3D printed replica of a number 36 Mills bomb. Reason being because originals are getting way too expensive now. So that's item number one. This has a spring-loaded mechanism, which I'll put some slow mo footage up. The next item, which of course you would actually carry two of these, and it's also personal preference on what you want to carry. You could carry 2 Mills bombs and 2 bandoliers, just like so. This is a bandolier. Move the pouch so I have a little bit more ease. So this is a bandolier. This is a post-war one, dated 1973. It's not really historically correct for World War II. This one would take 7.62 NATO instead of charges full of 303 British. Of course, I have only one clip, one charger, as I should be saying, of 303 in each one, and in these two end ones, I have some shell casings. So as you can see, British chargers. That's a Italian-made one. These are all inert rounds, so there's no powder, any of these. And these are just shell casings. As you can see, they cannot be fired, and primer's gone. And I'll actually just do the same for the inert rounds. This is the same for all of them. No primers on them. Well, the primers are still there, but they've been fired ages ago, and there is no powder. Just to make something else clear, this is also an inert grenade, so there's, if I go and take off the bottom, you can hear 3D printed magic. There is nothing inside the hand grenade, except from the mechanism that springs it on out. That sends the spoon, this, on flying that way. If you did carry 2 bandoliers, you would reef your second bandolier, so this one here, is for you. The other bandolier would go to the Bren gun magazines. So you would refill with your other bandolier, you would refill the magazines for the Bren gun. Of course, once again, it's up to personal preference, what you want to carry or not. But you could carry 2 bandoliers or 1. I'm just going to carry the 1 with me. This is the wrong one as well. This is a 1973 hated bandolier, but that's all I'm going to carry in my pouches. And yeah, let's move on to the next item. And the next piece of web equipment we're going to talk about is the bayonet frog, not the bayonet itself. This is a number 4 Mark II, meant for the rifle number 4. So I'll go and put the bayonet to one side, as that is something we're not really going to touch upon in this. This is the bayonet frog. You might have seen this one previously, 1945 dated. And I've actually, something else, from what I've managed to gather up from Kharkee web, is that these frogs were made for the number 4 bayonet. As instead of it being like the 1907 pattern where it was thick and then you had these 2 thick webbing loops, because the 1907 pattern was basically this shorter and this loop could actually move. You didn't have this webbing loop here. But basically, the 1907 pattern, obviously, well, could fit the 1907 pattern bayonet, like for the rifle number 1, or the SMLA. However, when the rifle number 4 came into service, they needed to find a way to fit the bayonet to the scabbards. First it was a piece of brass with leather, but they stopped making those in I think it was early 1944, and then in mid 1944 they let a button hole in, or they put a hole in to the top loop to allow the scabbard to go in place, just like that. And then in 1945 we got this designer frog, which is actually a purpose-made number 4 bayonet frog. So 1945 dated, like mentioned, and it is basically perfect. Well, it's good, really. It's good as it allows the number 4 spike bayonet scabbard, as it's this on the spike bayonet, which is a bit strange, but oh well. This fits onto the belt like so. So you simply just slide the belt right through there, and of course you'd put the scabbard right there, and it's perfect for the web equipment. So yeah, let's move on to the next piece of web equipment. The next piece of equipment is the 1937 pattern water bottle. So it is in this envelope style of carrier. This carrier is actually dated. This is a unissued carrier. Why is there a feather? Go away. This carrier is unissued, and it's made by Embrose in 1944. I'll put a pic of it as well. Embrose being Mills Brothers, not to get it confused with Miko or the Mills Equipment Company. So they made different types of water bottle carriers during the war. Only 2 types were made. This one and the much more earlier skeleton type, where it had webbing strap come up here and a webbing strap go along there, and then a press stud fixture to secure the water bottle, which this is a 1937 pattern water bottle, or even 1908. But green enamelled, and like mentioned before, do not recommend drinking out of these, simply because of this cork and the enamel. Because you put a dent in this, the enamel flakes off, and once you go to drink water, then you will be drinking your water mixed with enamel. But also, if you have water in there and the bottle gets dented, then the water will mix with the metal and make rust. So you'll be drinking not only enamel, but rust. And we also do not know whether this enamel is lead lined. I think that's correct, lead lined. Something like that. But you have your 2 1-inch buckles here to hook it onto the braces of the webbing. Braces or cross straps, I call them cross straps. But that is the 1937 pattern water bottle plus its carrier. It's actually the Mark II carrier. I believe, the Mark 1 being the skeleton. I'll do some more corrections. Once again, you got to refer to Kharkee web whenever you look at all of this. Same with Blanco, but you don't find Blanco on Kharkee web. Let me just clear that up. So yeah, let's move on to the next piece of web equipment. Right here we have the 1937 pattern /41. Now, you might be thinking, what is a /41? The /41, in my case, I call things slash because that's when this was reintroduced. This is basically the exact same as the 1908 carrier, except you don't have the helve here. This two-part entrenching tool was introduced in 1908 with the web equipment, the 1908 web equipment, but however was discontinued post-war. Now the Royal Navy still kept this in service. But however, when the war was, well, when we were thinking the war was going to start or something, we ultimately said, we don't have an entrenching tool, how are our men going to dig in? And we came up with the 1939 pattern, which is otherwise known as the Lineman tool. I think that's correct, the Lineman tool. It was basically like a German shovel. If you look at the World War II or even NBA shovels, you can see they're just straight handled and square shovel heads, I think they're called. But however, in 1941, we ultimately decided we reintroduce this. This was better. So that's why the /41 is there. So this, in my case, is the 1937 pattern, 1937/41 pattern. Or in my case, this is the 45 because this modification, but it's still the 41 pattern. So you got kidney-shaped style of cover, and what you would have on the outside is your helve. Now there were two types of helves made during the war. You had this type of helve, which basically mimics the front of the rifle number 4 to accept the spike bayonet, and that would be used as a mine probe. Scabbard's still on, so it can't harm me. So you could use it as a mine probe, so it would fix in the exact same way as a number 4 would. And this one is dated 1945 there, and even up there. Once again, I'll throw in pics. And then what you would have in this large pocket is your head, the E-tool head. So what you do is you take this, slide it on through, and now you've got a pickaxe and a shovel, so you can dig, slit trenches, or what have you. This is actually a post-war cover that is dated 1949. So it's a post-war item. Because it's a post-war item here, I don't mind Blancoing this because it's post-war. But now if it was wartime, I would not Blanco this. Braces / cross straps. So I will be talking about all of this in a separate video. I forgot to mention that at the start, but either way. So we have braces. These are matching pairs, so these are actually the economy version. We can tell that because the 2-inch has been made separately, and then the 1-inch has actually just been sewn on. Unlike with the early examples, like with Miko and MW and S, they reduction woven it. So what that basically means is it's nicely done, so the 2-inch comes down to the 1-inch. You'll see that later with the L straps. You might be asking, why is there pencil marks here? Well, this is done so, because I've got a Blanco this is done so I know where to have it all adjusted. I recommend you do this as well. And as you can see, this one has got looping. This is these cross straps are in long, so that means these are the long length, which I believe are 46 inches. Not too sure, but as you can see, long loop, which means, or big loop, which basically means these are in long. These are made by H&S. And this one is made by Bagcraft in 1942. But basically, these hold up all of your equipment, so your basic pouches, your e-tool, your water bottle, it holds up everything. Because you've got your basic pouches on the front of your web gear, and you've got the e-tool, the water bottle hanging off your back. And these kind of allow, so you can have the weight on your shoulders. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about braces / cross straps. So yeah, move on to the next piece of web equipment. So the next piece of web equipment is the L straps. Now these are used to attach the Haversack or the small pack to your back. So these are actually, I believe these come from the 1921-25 pattern of web equipment. I'm not too sure. I'll put the corrections in because it has these hooks here. And you have this 1-inch strap that comes off. This would go underneath your Haversack. And you have this 2-inch section with this 2-inch buckle that connects to the top of your Haversack. These are both Miko manufacturers. So these are both the Mills Equipment Company, made in 1943. And like what I was talking about with the L straps, as you can see, this is what we call reduction woven. So the 2-inch weaves nicely into the 1-inch section. And this is kind of the posher stuff. Not really. This was kind of used early war, still even being used if stocks of it were being made. But these were also economized as well, like with the previous version that I showed, where it just had the 2-inch was made and then the 1-inch was literally just sewn onto the 2-inch. But like always, all brass fittings, you could have brass or shredded steel on these. It's personally up to you, but brass is better. And also, if you refer to Rifleman Moore's video about reenacting for beginners, I think that's what it's called. He says that brass is preferable as it can last a long while, and also it does not rust in the field. Especially if you come into Blanco with this, you need to weten your webbing first, and yeah, you could get all your steel rusty. So I prefer brass, and plus you get Blanco on brass. You can just use some brasso and just shine it up. So those are the L straps. Let's move on to the final piece of web equipment. The final piece of web equipment we're going to talk about for the 1937 pattern webbing is the small pack, or the Haversack. This is an original small pack. It has all of its fittings on, So it has 2 1-inch buckles at the bottom, 2 1/4 or 1/2 inch buckles and tabs, more 1-inch buckles. That's for when you're doing marching order, when you have the large pack or the pack, and then you have 2-inch not buckles, things on the back, pieces of webbing. This one is marked Hurst Stafford, so it does belong to the Staffords, the Staffordshires. This does have a date at being BHGL at a 1940 something. Could be 41, could be any date. But this would basically keep a hold of so this would keep all of your shaving kit and your soft kit. So in the front here, please excuse this, holds all of my 1937 pattern webbing and spare stuff as well. So in these 2 front pockets here, you would have 2 aluminium or steel messings, whether if you're doing early or late war. In the back here, you would have your soft kit, so that being cardigan, cap comforter, socks, your Holdall or your wash roll. Once again, Rifleman Moore has done videos on the Haversack content and Holdall contents as well. I'll leave a link to his channel and a link to the videos as well. But yeah, he's done videos on that. Most people, this is a necessary piece of kit to have for your haversack or for your equipment, as while you're out during these events, you really do need to keep yourself clean as well. So that is basically all of the 1937 pattern web equipment.